meeting. We'd like to call the Webster County Board of Education regular session of January the 9th to order. Mr. Glasscock will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Monceau will offer the invocation. Anyone not wishing to participate in those is free to remain seated.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunities that we have to come to this meeting and to participate. We thank you, Father, for the blessings that this body gives to the students. We thank you for the opportunities that the students have, and we ask for your guidance and direction, not just in this meeting, but through our contact with them, that the students will be directed in a positive manner. We just thank you for the people that have volunteered. We thank you for those that are on the agenda for whatever the item is. We certainly thank you, Father, for those that are retiring and for their many years of service to this county. We just lift all of this up to you in Jesus' precious name. And all of God's children say, Amen. Amen.
First item of business this evening is recognition, and we are first recognizing the new National Board Certified Teachers, and Mrs. Wells will.
Yes, and I'm very excited about this. It's a wonderful honor. We have two brand new National Board Certified Teachers. We know that our board president is a National Board Certified Teacher, and we have with us two National Board Certified Teachers who received theirs back a little earlier, correct, ladies? Okay. Sedona Kimball and Mary Young. And Sedona and Mary have had a big hand in tonight's presentation. And Mary and Sedona will take over at this point and do an informational PowerPoint, and then we'll present the awards.
As Tammy said, my name's Mary Young, and I'm a Nationally Board Certified Exceptional Needs Specialist. I first certified in 2009 and renewed in 2019.
My name is Sedona Kimball, and I certified in 2009, and when 2019 came around, I said, no, I'm not doing it. but you know, just because it doesn't have that title by my name doesn't mean that I'm not using the same techniques and the same standards and the same way that anybody would that's gone through the process. And it's a high honor, and I'm so proud of the ladies tonight.
Okay, and I'd like to also add that there are 1,173 National Board teachers in West Virginia at this time. We have 39 new teachers this year receiving their national certification in West Virginia, and 114 that actually completed the maintenance of certificate. And we'll talk more about that. We're also part of a cohort, the Wetzel County National Board cohort, and our mission is basically to recognize and support and certify and retain our accomplished teachers. And when we do that, we generate ongoing school improvement, because the National Board teachers go through an in-depth process with the standards. They're the most rigorous standards in the nation. Before we go on, we would like to introduce two guests from Senator Manchin's office. They are also Nationally Board Certified.
Mary Jo Guidi and Roseanne Farrow. Please stand, ladies.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
And those of you that aren't really familiar with National Board, we hear about it, but it really is an intense amount of work. It's a voluntary, something you choose to do to become the best of your profession, to become accomplished. And it's the most respected professional certification, and it's also the highest certification an educator can attain.
Okay, and National Board teachers are recognized as the gold standard in teacher certification. And the National Board believes in high standards for teachers. We have to meet all those standards, and it means better learning for students. If you have a teacher that's meeting this high level of standards, they're going to bring their students up with them.
And it was, like I said, it was designed to retain and recognize accomplished teachers. And the national average of high school students interested in becoming a teacher is 4%. The actual estimated average in Wetzel County schools, high school students, 10th and or 11th and 12th graders, is roughly 5%. So we have our work cut out for us. And that is why National Board certification is so important, because when someone certifies, they actually become bonded to education, because you've worked so hard to earn this that you don't want to walk away from it. You become very dedicated. And according to 2 decades of research, there's research to support that National Board certified teachers are truly the catalyst for school improvement. If you want to improve your schools, certify your teachers, and involve the teachers who are nationally board certified. And you might want to know why that is.
Okay, so research consistently shows that teacher effectiveness is the single most important school-related factor impacting student achievement. Just think, teacher effectiveness, student achievement. Duh, that's what I want to say. It's got to be. If you have an effective teacher, you're going to increase student achievement. It's going to happen.
But then saying again, the national board standards are so rigorous. I mean, it isn't easy. And the people that we have involved in actually working on their national board right now, they're finding the issue of how hard it is to meet the diverse needs of kids. Diversity seems to be the hardest standard for them at this time. And if you think about it with COVID and the pandemic and everything, we have kids on multiple levels, more so than any other year. So that's something to take into consideration. And being an exceptional needs specialist, I'm all about differentiation, so that was always my strength, but it isn't. Everybody has their own strengths. National board certification directly benefits teachers, their colleagues, students, families, and communities. It's a well-rounded process. And there is direct research that will support the impact of the National Board Certified Teacher. A National Board Certified Teacher constantly is reflecting upon their teaching and the needs of their students, and are their students actually excelling. And then they'll go back and they'll think of things at a much deeper level of how they can actually raise the level of achievement of their students. They're lifelong learners. And going through my elementary education degree and 2 master's degrees, I learned a lot. But I didn't learn anything like I learned through National Board certification. The standards are so deep. And the reason the teachers, there's a direct impact on learning with children is because they have to master these standards or they don't certify. Each standard is assessed in each component, and some more so than others. Teachers actually learn a deeper level of teaching. Their understanding of education is, I can't even really explain it, but they have a deep understanding of the learning, the teaching and learning process. And it's still me.
Yes, it is.
I don't really operate this very well, my apologies. Oh no,
What'd you do?
what do I do? Okay. It said you were operating the computer. And another benefit of, well, many benefits of National Board Certified Teachers, and we really need to take this into accountability when we're wanting to improve our test scores, wanting to improve student achievement, and wanting to improve the social-emotional learning of our kids. I mean, they have a lot of needs. And a lot of times, according to the National Board research, National Board Certified Teachers, they're sought out for leadership roles. You might find them as team leaders, school improvement specialists, academic coaches, school and district administrators, and many times at the State Department. If you check, most of the people who work at the West Virginia Department of Ed, they are National Board Certified, or they're working towards it. In our cohort, we had someone years ago, she worked for the Department of Ed, and she was trying to obtain National Board Certification. Another benefit in Wetzel County for National Board Certified candidates, well, for you, if any of you were thinking about doing this, and I highly advise you to try, you receive a $5,000 a year stipend on top of your regular pay. Wetzel County Schools, part of that is $1,500, and the Department of Education picks up the $3,500. However, you must stay certified. You must maintain your certificate. At one point in time, it was worth 10 years. I was the last one to be grandfathered into the 10-year. Now it's worth 5. So in 5 years, these ladies will need to certify again to keep their stipend. But they are, whether or not they keep their stipend, to me, they are nationally board certified. Another thing is we can offer you college credit. It counts towards your 15, your 30, and your 45. It's an advanced teaching credential above your regular teacher license, and of course, state and county recognition and support from a cohort.
Okay, and National Board Certified teachers, this benefits the teacher, the colleagues, the students, the families, and the communities. And in student achievement, students taught by National Board teachers gain 1 to 2 extra months of learning. And they're leaders in the school and and they work on improvement initiatives. They collaborate with parents, guardians, and the community. And they positively impact low-income schools. They constantly reflect and analyze methods to improve. So National Board teachers are very much interested in school improvement, improving teacher-student relationships, of improving student achievement, which are all the things we need now.
And it is documented in research that children taught by a National Board Certified teacher gain 1 to 2 months more learning as compared to their peers. And a higher level, of course, in English language arts than in math. But that's documented and it's research based. The National Board Professional Teaching Standards ranks in the top 3 strategies for professional development that's impactful to teachers. Teachers want to do this because it will actually help them earn money, and not only that, it's job embedded professional development. The National Board standards are very rigorous. They're developed by a committee of teachers across all categories of teaching, CTE, English, math. They have someone representing everything, and there are 25 different certifications now. So there's a lot to choose from. And National Board teachers, they actually change the impact. Their changes actually have a direct impact on kids because they're constantly working on their lesson plan, trying to figure out a better way. They really focus on diversity, because if you don't focus on diversity, you won't certify. Differentiation is actually one of the components. And also assessment and having the deepened content knowledge with National Board.
Okay, the National Board process consists of 4 weighted components deeply rooted in the rigorous National Board standards. They have to have content knowledge. They have to be able to do differentiation and instruction and demonstrate that. Teaching practice and their learning environment. It's very reflective. You have to, as you're writing, it's very hard to sit down and reflect on what you're doing and how you can improve yourself. So you're very critical of yourself and in the improvement process. And you also pick up effective practices, and you're very reflective in taking lessons and deciding, did this work? How can I improve it? How can I make it differentiated for all of my students so they can be successful?
And it actually doesn't matter so much that you have the best lesson or the worst lesson. It's how you analyze it. Do you know where you made the mistake? Do you know how to correct it? Do you know how to raise achievement of students? It really is in how you write it up, because you have to be a descriptive, an analytical, and a reflective writer. And that will show through and through within your portfolio. It's like telling a story. And if that is not evident, clear and consistent evidence for the assessor, then you get to try again. National Board teachers are architects of the future. And if you look at the board there, this is what National Board standards, this is how National Board standards are created. Everything is embedded within these propositions. Teachers are committed to their students and learning. You become very committed when you start the National Board process. Teachers know the subjects they teach, and they know how to teach those subjects to students. Seems simple, but really, can you meet the needs of students with diversity and differentiation? That's what they're looking for there. Teachers are responsible for managing and monitoring student learning. You can't just go in and wing a lesson. I mean, you have to have, and not necessarily a detailed written out lesson plan, but you learn to think in a reflective practice. And that's what makes, that's what helps raise achievement. Not just handing a worksheet or whatever. You really begin to think, what can I do to meet this standard? And teachers think systematically about their practice, and they learn from experience. My last lesson when I renewed my National Board certification was not the best. The lighting didn't work. There were numerous things that happened within that lesson, but it was a technology lesson, so that happens in any technology lesson just about. But I knew what to look for, and I knew how to write it up to let them know that what I would do differently the next time. So that's where that takes effect. And teachers are members of learning communities. We're always learning. No one knows everything, so we're always learning from one another. And that's the backbone right there of National Board certification.
Okay, so should someone decide they need to have a bachelor's degree in education, a valid state teaching or school counseling license, 3 years of experience, so you can't just get into education and decide to become National Board. You have to have 3 years of teaching experience, and it's a 3-year process with 2 additional years to retake any of your components. And all components can be completed sooner, but they've extended the certification time. You register, you pay the registration fee and the component fee, and you begin your journey. And once a candidate has paid and submitted 2 components, the West Virginia Department of Ed will reimburse those component fees. So you complete 2 components and you can get some of your money back to go on and purchase more components.
And it's also noted too that once you do certify, the Department of Education will also reimburse you for up to $600 of expenses, and that includes your registration fee. If you don't certify, the Department of Ed will reimburse you for your components, but you will never get reimbursed for the $75 registration fee. So it's important that you keep track of mileage and different things if you begin this process. Me again. All the date.
Okay, and these are the important dates. Your registration window starts in July, but it ends February 28th, and so that is the end of the window. That's when you need to register, do your component selection, if you need to change your certificate area, if you need to change your component selection, you can withdraw, but it all has to be done by February 28th. And then your content knowledge testing window, that's the test of how much do you know of the content knowledge of your subject. And that can be taken between March 1st and June 15th. And then you have your e-portfolio submission window, and that's from April 1 to May 17th. So if you're going to submit a component, you need to submit it by then. But listen to this, and I never did understand this, But you submit May 17th, and you don't get your scores back to know if you passed or not until December. That's a long time to wait. And I can remember, I didn't want to open the email. I didn't want to open it, because this one here called me and said, open your email, I passed. Well, why would I want to open my email? She passed. I was at Magnolia and I was like, I can't. But I did, and I passed. But
It's a very,
it's very, very
emotional
stressful.
time.
Very stressful.
I'd like to also add that if you are a first or second year teacher and you would like to begin National Board, you can begin National Board in those years. You just can't certify until you have taught 3 years. That's the new change in the National Board. And in the summertime, if you're considering National Board certification, which we have several that are, and we would like to invite you to this, the West Virginia Department of Ed has a National Board Awareness Session, and it's in July. July 11th is the National Board Awareness, and then July 12th and 13th is when they actually provide you support. It's a very worthwhile professional development. You get to go and you get to see if you really want to try to do this, and you come back and you work with your cohort. And we're working with several teachers right now. We have many accomplished teachers in Wetzel County. They may not have National Board certification behind their name, but they can. They can do it. We have, I walk in classrooms every day and I see teachers that I'm like, you should be National Board certified. Let's do this, come on, But it takes a lot of work. You have to be very committed, and procrastination is your enemy in National Board certification. Right now we have, and I could be missing a few, Jacob Hoskins from Magnolia. He is working on his. Sarah Benson, Mary Ritz, Carly Roethlisberger, Danielle Stanford, and Bill Bell. They're all working on, they're all at some level of the National Board process. So when you see those teachers, be sure to commend them, offer them any support that they may need. We try to make sure that if they need a video recorded, we're there. We offer them support. The best way to analyze your teaching is to turn the volume down and watch your actions, where you are proximity-wise, and are you meeting the needs of the children that, need it. So we offer them advice and try to help them that way.
Okay, and if anybody would be interested, please sign up. We have our National Board cohort sessions. They're in Frontline, or you can contact either one of us for more information. And,
well, we're here today actually to celebrate and congratulate our 2 new Wetzel County Schools National Board Certified teachers. We're extremely proud of them, Chrissy Mace and Whitney Healy. We'll tell you a little bit of information about them because it's very worthy.
okay, Chrissy Mace is a National Board Certified Generalist in Middle Childhood, ages 7 through 12. This is Chrissy's 22nd year at Wetzel County Schools as an educator. She currently teaches 4th grade at Payne City Elementary School, having spent the first 12 years of her career as a special educator. She is the Payne City Elementary School Tech Coordinator and serves on the LSIC committee. She is also the Payne City Elementary School Student Council Advisor. Chrissy?
Would like to stay up front for a picture. Next, last but not least, we have Whitney Healy. She is a nationally board certified English language arts teacher from adolescence to young adulthood, ages 14 to 18 plus. This is Whitney's 13th year teaching English. She's taught English language arts and reading along the way. She began her career here in Wetzel County at Valley High School. She taught 1 year, and then she moved on to Cameron High School, where she taught for 11 years. Whitney also directed plays at Cameron High School, and she served as the Queen of Queens coordinator. She's currently an English teacher at the Wetzel County Tech Center, and she's a facilitator for the Beginning Teacher Academy. Whitney, could you come up, please?
Whitney and Chrissy, we do have certificates for you for this accomplishment. And I do want to say that both of these teachers started at Valley High School. They both had their first year. Those of you that know my history know I'm pretty proud of that fact. So I'm just really proud of you all, the Wetzel County teachers, and for everything that you've done and really shining light on what can be done in Wetzel County schools. We're so proud of you. I just can't even tell you how proud we are of you. You're welcome. There you go. Get behind him. I'm the important one. This goes around. All right. I'm going to get in somebody's way. 1, 2, 3. One more. 2, 3. Thank you. Girls, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you. Much appreciated. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I would like to also add that the gifts within the bags were made by our local CTE kids, our welders, Owen from Payne City High School, and Carson from Valley, and Bella from Magnolia High School. And there's also a special gift in there from the 100 high school students. So please enjoy those. They're very heartfelt. Thank you.
Mary and Sedona, thank you too.
This was the first year. Next recognition that we'd like to bestow is the state robotics culinary competition winners. This is the first year that this has been held by the West Virginia Department of Education.
Yes, definitely. Okay, we're once again very excited about this. Mrs. Sigley and your teachers, if you could help me with this, how many schools were in this competition?
9.
9 schools in this competition.
There were 3 high schools and 6 technical schools.
So 3 high schools, 100 being one of the 3 high schools.
Yes, Huntington High School, Wheeling Park High School, and us.
As the high schools, and then
Yes,
you had
and then
6 career technical
Career
centers
Technical Center.
as well. Okay, and this is a combined, it's called the Culinary Challenge, a combined competition for what we used to call home ec, but is much more in depth at this time, and definitely much more difficult, and much more in light of preparing students for the future. And the STEM, engineering and STEM, and we can go on and on. We know all about 100 High School and their excellent Covered Bridge Bakery and their fantastic TSA program. So it was a no-brainer to us when 100 went that they were going to win. And I think the history of it was too, you came in as an alternate, correct?
We did.
I think that's hilarious. I love it. I think it's great. And won the whole thing. And the award ceremony was done live, and we all here in Wetzel County got to see that, and imagine our excitement when they were listing the names of the winners, and then 100 High School was named, and it was just fantastic. We have fantastic teachers that have taken part in this. Mrs. Sigley, would you talk about the teachers that took part in this a little bit?
Well, it's funny because when we were announced to join in and we were the alternate, we had less time than the other schools did, and I said, guys, as long as we don't come in last, and every teacher, they're like, we are not coming in last. And I said, well, I just think it's an honor that we get to go. They're like, we're winning this, right? I was like, okay. So I had no doubt that they were going to put 100% into it. So I just couldn't be more proud of them. And they shocked me again tonight because they actually made, I didn't realize they had made the desserts that they actually made at the event that they must have brought for you guys, and
we're gonna
just.
I was going to say, are you tired of holding it?
But
These are the same ones you made at the event?
Yeah.
one thing that I can say that I think really helped them is us being so close, like working close together. If they had questions, they could just go right down the hallway to collaborate. So I think that's key.
Okay, I think we have a presentation coming up.
Thank you so much.
For those of you that can't see, you may want to stand up and see this really cool sled that they've developed and built and conceptualized the whole 9 yards.
Thank you very much.
And who's going to explain this challenge?
Hey, first, it's not coming to take my dessert, right? Maybe you.
Who's going to explain this challenge?
Vincent, you want to?
Right, go for it, Vincent.
Alright, so this competition brought together the culinary and the robotics teams at our school. Like it was said, we had like no time to do it, but we were able to create a winning bot.
Leave it, somebody will take it. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm pointing out. What is it? Are you supposed to tell me about it? Yeah, Connor, can you take it over?
So, when we were down there, we didn't expect like the course to look like that because different drawings. Then the next morning, the pit was covered in marshmallows. That was fun. So,
Girls, they had 2 hours. Tell them what you had to do. You had the 2 hours for the robot and for the culinary.
Yeah, we had only 2 hours to do everything. We only had a few times one time to try and practice if we could do it on time, and we barely made it. So that was fun. We found out after we got to the competition that we didn't have 2 hours just to cook and bake. We had 2 hours to bake and then help the boys in decorating and assembling the robot as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
And plating everything as well. So that was slightly stressful.
Absolutely delicious. Slightly stressful? Okay. I imagine it was. Well, I would like to give these certificates to the students in honor of this fine achievement. State champions, grand champions, guys. That's amazing. Connor Sneddon, come on up and... Vincent Sigley. Ariana Zarco. I did it. All right. And Haley Miller. And then we have an overall certificate. Gentlemen, you want to come on up, and Mrs. Watson and Principal Sigley, would you come up? We have this for the for 100 High School for 2022 Grand Champion Operation Christmas Crumble Culinary Challenge.
You want the trophy and the picture?
Oh, we want the trophy.
You better brace yourself.
And the robot.
Oh my gosh.
And the robot.
Guys, someone needs to hold this. Vincent's going to do the robot. You want to hold this? You're young.
You guys will have to probably scoot back just a hair.
She also wants that up here.
Yes.
You could probably sit if you're gonna put the robot on the floor, you could probably sit the trophy beside.
That's true.
Yes, I'll make sure I get it all. Okay, Vincent, you're going back in. Okay, you go ahead and set that on the floor. That way you can hold your certificate.
I was wondering where she wanted it.
Whose certificate is this? Okay. All right.
Okay, guys, get there.
All right. I'm missing somebody. Mrs. Watson. All right. Yeah, I'm going to try not to get it.
Like, you want him to just get down on the knees?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, nice. There you go. All right. Okay. On 3, and I'll take a couple. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Congratulations, 100 High School. Thank you guys so much.
We're back up in a minute.
She's doing this.
Yeah, she and her team are doing this already.
Just wait till we. Next item of presentation is the 100 High School Southern Regional Education Board presentation, which will be given this summer, correct?
No, this is what they learned at conference last year.
Okay, there's a presentation sometime too, then.
Oh, that will come, trust me.
Good evening, Westwood County Board members, county office staff, and guests. I'm Beth Sigley, principal at 100 High School. I'd like to thank my staff that has come here to help me to present on our conference takeaways from this past summer. I would first like to start out by saying we really appreciate it anytime that we are provided the opportunity to attend conferences like this to receive professional development. It is also important to remember that when we attend conferences such as this, we come back and decide what exactly stood out and what we want to use in the upcoming year and implement within our school. That is what we are going to focus on this evening. I have put on the table handouts, and the first thing that we're going to look at is this particular one that has SRED conference takeaways on it. So if you'll take a look, career and technical education sessions, clearly from what you just saw, is something that appeals to us. We're always looking for ways to improve upon what we're already doing. So we, as a team, kind of focused on CTE sessions that showcase ways to improve our CTE programs. Some things that we saw while we were there were examples of how to do student interviews. I know in our baking and pastry classes, Miss Watson has utilized that in her courses this year. We're working on updating employee handbooks, workplace protocols, working on implementing a student ambassador, in which if someone comes into our school, a student ambassador would, in that workplace, would be the one to kind of take anybody around to serve as a guide. If we need a spokesperson for that business, that student is kind of the lead, the CEO that would take charge. Some other things that stood out to us is kind of more workplace uniforms, a time clock to track students' time in the workplace, and then business cards. Mango Central in West Virginia was a session that we attended, and they are just, they've set the bar high as far as with their CTE programs, and they have where their students have their own business cards. Someone comes in, they have questions on products, they have business cards if they have questions, and that's something that we're wanting to eventually be able to go to, where if someone's wanting a product, they can email our students and be able to get price quotes and things like that. I'd also like to note that we have, actually my teachers that are here tonight presented on the CTE in their simulated workplaces. They did presentations there. Another thing that we decided before we went, just from student interest from the previous year, was esports. And I'm going to be the first to say that I was like, ugh, video games. Being a former phys ed teacher, video games, oh my goodness, that just seems like a bad word to me. However, my mind has been changed. And especially after seeing, hope my son doesn't get embarrassed in the next room, but if you've watched the video of the culinary thing, I didn't know he could drive a robot like that. And I said, how in the world did you know how to even operate the robot like that? He's like, well, I guess years of playing video games paid off, Mom. And I was like, oh, I never thought of it like that. You know, jobs in today's society are changing, and we need to get up with the times on our ways of thinking. With the esports, we found that we had students that were having attendance issues, and we were wanting to try to appeal to those students that were maybe struggling getting up and coming to school in the mornings. What was the hook that we could get? What was the driving force that we could maybe have that one thing, that one reason a kid would want to come to school? And some different sessions we attended focused on esports, and found that there were different platforms available that focused not only on the gaming aspect, but had different mental health components embedded into their curriculum. This past fall, after we got back from conference, we went with a Play VS, and this spring we're actually going to start a Generation Esports, which is just a West Virginia specific, so that we'll just be playing West Virginia teams, because we thought it might mean more to be playing Wheeling Park than it is. We played one team, it was Sandwich, Massachusetts, but I don't even know where that's at. So we have found so far that our students that were having some attendance issues last year, it has so far greatly decreased. I think Mrs. Van Slyke, I think you were...
I compiled some statistics on just one student today. As a school counselor, you know, they always say you can't save them all, but if you can save one. And this is a student that 2 years ago, I thought as soon as he turned 17, he's out of here. Ninth grade year was our virtual year. I can't even tell you how many home visits I did to this kid because he didn't even log on to any of his classes, didn't show up for anything. By the end of the year, he had a half a credit. He ended up doing 4 credits in summer school. The family members, he was living with Grandpa and Grandpa's girlfriend. Grandpa's girlfriend kept saying to me, he's a bright kid, he's really smart. And I said, smart only gets you so far. You've got to put the work in, you've got to be motivated. And this kid wasn't. Came back to school, 10th grade year, he was absent 90 and a half days. I counted each one of them today. He earned 5.5 credits. 4 of those were in summer school, again. First year, his GPA was 1.625. He ended up having a 1.313 at the end of 10th grade. 11th grade, I was on bus duty, I think, week 2. I see this kid coming in before the bell rang, and I said, what are you doing here? I said, you've been here every day. He said, if I don't come to school, I can't do esports. And I was like, oh, there is a God, you know, because this kid didn't miss a single day in 2 weeks. He's had 9 absences so far this year, and a lot of those have been COVID. He did actually have COVID this time. He didn't just say, I've been exposed and I need to quarantine, which is what he used to say in years past. He has all A's except for a B in Algebra 2. And I asked him just recently, I said, what has made the difference for you? And he said, I told you before, it's esports. So I was one of those naysayers, and I went to 3 sessions down there on esports because they talked about the social emotional learning, they talked about the mental health aspects, and about kids who are at home playing video games tend to be loners, kids who don't get involved in anything. This gives those kids who aren't in sports a sense of belonging, and they connect with other people. Even kids who aren't playing can find somewhere to fit in this if they're interested in it, and it's been good for a lot of our students, not just this one boy. So this coming year, I've been approved to present at SREB, and I'm going to talk about how this has totally changed my perception, because all I could think about is kids holding up in their bedroom all by themselves, and it's not been the case. It's really been good for us.
So when we got back, we decided to turn one of our old computer labs into a gaming lab, which I have on this sheet. And we had revamped our library into, it's still a library, but we decided to make the seating a little different to where when we have these sports after school, we not only have the gaming lab, but it flows right into the library to where we can open up and have the gaming in there as well. So there's pictures of that in there. And a lot of that, I will say, came directly from the conference we attended because, like I said, I knew nothing. I don't think really any of us knew much about it until we attended sessions and kind of found out more. I have to laugh because I think Annalise actually took a picture of me at the one session and I was like this. And I said, I have no idea what these kids are even doing. Like, it's just a foreign topic to me. But I feel like I know a lot more now for sure. On the back side of this handout, Mrs. Van Syok had attended, and I think also maybe Mr. Kimball and Mrs. Wells had attended one on a 4-day work week. We put that in there just because we thought it was very interesting, and Wetzel County came to mind because we know we're always competing. I know on our end of the county, we're competing with kids that end up going to either Mon County or Marion County. Here, I know it's either Marshall or Tyler, and we thought this might be something interesting to look at as far as if we were trying to look at a way to possibly gain enrollment numbers. So that's just a piece in there that if you want to look at, that might be something to maybe entertain at some point in time.
Mrs. Sigley, I'd just like to share with them, in this session I sat beside a woman over here who was from Oklahoma, and we saw each other in several different sessions, so we tended to sit together. After the second day of running into her, she said to me she's a teacher in Oklahoma, and she also drives the school bus in the morning and the afternoon. And guess how much she makes for doing that? $20 measly a day. But she does it because her salary is so low. And I was like, you know, when people throughout the United States think that they're underpaid, they need to talk to somebody from Oklahoma. It was sad.
And then the last thing I have on my list, there were several of us that had attended some sessions from pace-setter schools. These presentations dealt with how to become a pace-setter school. After attending this session, we decided as a staff that we thought this was something that we wanted to do, and I put in there the criteria to become one, and engaging students through quality instruction, aligning curriculum with state readiness standards, ensuring that students can explore careers and complete career pathways that align with their interests and aptitudes, providing student supports that promote readiness, creating and supporting cultures of continuous improvement. One thing that I'm really proud of us as a staff, that we are able to look at students and see, okay, who is not involved in something, and we go to those students and we say, what can we do to get you involved in something? What is something that interests you? And we have, almost all of our students are involved in some type of school-related activity. And I'm really proud of that, because I'd rather have them in my school building than out doing something else. And I also would just like to brag that we found out last week that we have received the Pacesetter School Award for this upcoming year. So I attribute it to just the awesome people I have. I mean, I have about a third of my staff here tonight, but the rest of them, down to my teacher's aides, down to my cook, down to my custodians, we're all in it together, and I think that shows, and it means a lot to me. And I know Mr. Kimball was out Saturday for the archery tournament, and I feel like we lived there, and most of you were at this archery tournament, so I just feel like and my daughter tonight at dinner, she said, I feel like this is my family. And you know what, she's right. This is my family, and I'm proud of them for this type of award, because I feel like when you're in it together as a family, our kids at our high school, I think, are feeling those direct effects, and I really appreciate that out of them. So before I start getting all teary-eyed, I will turn this over to those that presented at the conference. So I'll have Miss Watson and Annalise come up, and then I don't know if Mr. Rush and Mr. Sen would like to come up as well. Thank you.
Mrs. Sigley, I hear that you have a pretty good principal at that school too, so
Well, thank you.
I don't wanna not give her credit.
So like Ms. Sigley said, myself and Ms. Watson presented at SRED, and we did put together a little handout as well as the blue and gray one. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Annalise Henderson Yost. I'm the agricultural education teacher and FFA advisor at 100. I have a meat lab, a greenhouse, and just this past year I can now say we have a flower shop at 100 High School. So that was really exciting. 4 years ago I kind of went to Miss Van Zyl and Miss Sigley and put out the idea that I wanted to start teaching floriculture at 100. Not only is it an ag credit, it's also an art credit for our students. So they're getting 2 credits when they take our course. I wanted to kind of start that because I had lost some students, being a female teacher, first female ag teacher at 100. And also a lot of my kids, I lost my livestock kids. I didn't have kids showing at the fair. I didn't have kids really engaged in any of those extracurriculars. And I had some kids that they were really talented doing some artistic things. I was a florist in college, so I love working with flowers. We started the program. We had a corner of our greenhouse. That's what we started with. We bought a Coke cooler out of a deli that went down, and we started doing flowers on Valentine's Day. We booked a wedding, and now we do weddings every year. We've already booked 4 this year that we had last year call us. We're a preferred florist for the Hotel Morgan in Morgantown, and we actually just got a call from the Department of Education to do the Teacher of the Year dinner. So that was like a big surprise for the kids. But anyways, we went to Texas to talk about our CTE programs and how we're impacting our communities. Because if you've ever been to 100, we have no florist. Our students are the town florist. So anytime we get a call for a birthday, funeral, whatever, our kids put together those arrangements. But we talked about ways that how we first off created our business, and then how we promoted it and we keep it sustainable. So a big part I talked about was our social media presence. So our Facebook, Twitter, TikTok accounts even, how we promote out our business, and then how we started it. So I talked a little bit about how I started mine, and now Ms. Watson can talk about Covered Bridge.
So those of you that know me know that I am a retired band director. Not retired any longer, but I taught 30 years in band, and Mrs. Sigley called and asked if I would come in and sub for a couple weeks, which has now turned into a permanent job. I came out of retirement because I enjoyed it just that much. But Mrs. Yost and Mrs. Duckworth, who was there before I was, they had already planned on presenting, so I decided I would step in and go ahead and do that. And I wasn't in on the planning of the actual bakery, but when I went to Texas, I talked about what we had been doing, and I went to session after session after session on Nocti and anything else that was CTE because it is new to me. And I loved it. I made a lot of changes. As Mrs. Sigley pointed out earlier, I did do the student interviews. My students had to apply for a job because this is a business. They had to apply. I have co-managers and an assistant manager. I have a quality control manager, and I have a safety manager, and then the team members underneath. We hold business meetings once a month at lunchtime, and then the students, we don't have our clock in thing, you know, but I bought little notebooks, and they sign in to keep their time. The students can get paid for after school hours. So I took a lot from the SRED conference last summer, and we both signed up to present separately this year, and we are both going to be presenting. So I'm looking forward to that. My session is going to be titled The Covered Bridge Bakery, a Successful Simulated Workplace, because it is very successful. We've actually had to turn people away. And we also have started doing weddings and things like that. So it's nice for the students. And I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, this was, and I just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity, because this was actually my first SRED conference, and I kind of got nudged to present. So, but I'm glad I got the nudge, because it was a really good experience, and we've actually had a lot of people reach out to us about our programs. So it was a good experience, and thank you again for giving us that opportunity.
So on the other end of that spectrum, where Mr. Snen and I, we presented at the SRAB conference, it was educating students for today's industries through technology. So being a technology education teacher and Mr. Snen math and coding teacher, we work very well together, hand in hand. What one person doesn't bring to the table, we complement each other in that aspect. So the biggest thing we try to do in our class is to prepare the kids for actual real life job skills. So when we teach our kids, we use the latest software. We try to stay up to date with what industry is needing. We're in partnership with BHE Transmission and Hastings over there, so they kind of give us ideas of what we need to do to produce, workers for their fields, whether they go to a technical college at Fairmont State, or if they decide to go to a 4-year degree in an engineering path or whatnot. But so in this, it was just our presentation from the SRAB conference. We both presented on this, and I don't want to make it any longer than we have to, but you can see in there where we talk about all the machinery we have and all the grants we receive through the State Department and through other aspects of industry to help us have this technology to teach these kids. If you want to go out in the printing world, you can have a job as soon as you graduate high school. If you are in robotics and drone flight, you take this series of four classes, 2 robotics classes and 2 drone flight classes. You can have your FAA 107 certification where you can make money to fly drones. And where we kind of went with that curriculum was, BHE told us that, hey, we just paid somebody from North Carolina $20,000 to come up, fly a drone down in a tank where a person couldn't see because it was too dangerous, and take a few pictures, come back up out. And that's their job. So for about 6 hours of travel one way, I guess 12 hours round trip, and then 2 hours of work, they made $20,000. So that's just kind of where we're at with this. So we try to utilize all the equipment we have. We always do. Even Mr. Cook there, he's got a piece of our product there, right there where he's drinking. We make those. We have our own live print shop. So engraving, we make the trophies. We can do just about anything. So if the kids are invested in that, and the kids have a buy-in to see that we are using what the industry is using. Mr. Sned's daughter, last year, she's at Davis and Elkins now. So she said, we use Adobe Illustrator. Oh, the college said, oh, that's expensive stuff. He said that's what industry is using. So when we took them to Stick Company, whenever we designed the middle school steam trailer, she was already ahead. She worked with the designer there, came up with the design themselves. So it's all good stuff. Getting there.
Well, I want to say a couple things. I want to thank the tech department here for esports, helping with the computers and stuff. That was wonderful for them to do. What's nice is we can actually use them as well to help with some of the CTE stuff that we do in my coding class. We're going to use it to make virtual reality, which was part of the things that we did at the conference. We went to see the different vendors that were presenting there. We went and saw the simulated VR different businesses where they do welding and some other different tech things. They also had some other VR that was related to the medical field where you could actually look at a heart and tear it apart. So what's nice is we can actually apply that in my class, in the coding class, to actually create a 3D world, which is one of the things that we're going to try to do this year for the TSA competitions, create a VR,
Mixed reality.
Mixed reality, yeah, but we need to do it for the
TSA.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what it's going to be. My brain went blank. Where you can go and adopt a dog or a cat at a shelter. Okay, that's what it was. But yeah, it's neat. We could use the different things that we learned at SREB to go ahead and actually apply to our classwork, which is good.
And we're also presenting this year, got accepted to present this year at the National SREB Conference again. So it'll be along the same lines of what we discussed last year, just more in depth on how the what actually we train the kids through specific job areas. So that's all we have.
Just want to thank you. No, they will be taking the middle school steam trailer out this Friday. It's a short line in the morning and then long drain in the afternoon, and they'll be starting their first round with having our high school kids working with the elementary kids. I know they set up dates with Payton City and New Martinsville, and so they'll be heading around, and it will be the high school kids teaching the middle school kids. So, but thank you for your time.
I'd like to make note that Mrs. Bonner had joined us very early in the meeting and is on the phone in front of Mrs. Simmons, so she is on board. We have the WVU extension update now, Paul.
Thank you for having me this evening. It was so enjoyable to hear all the good news that's happening in Wetzel County, and I only have more good news to tell you as part of my presentation. I also really enjoyed seeing some current and former 4-H'ers here, since that's what I get to talk about, and some volunteers, maybe future volunteers here. So thank you again for having me. My name's Molly Toppy. I'm the extension agent for Wetzel County, employed through WVU, but working for the folks of Wetzel County. And I just want to go over some of the things that we've done over the past year, because Wetzel County Schools is a partner for WVU Extension here. So for 4-H, that's really the main part of my job. Throughout the year, we have 150 kids enrolled in our 4 community clubs. We have 2 specialty clubs, a livestock club, and also newly formed a teen leader club. The bulk of our programming, though, happens during the summer, and that yellow bag in front of you has a report about some of the things we did over the summer. The main one that I think the board would be interested in is Energy Express. The board has been a longtime supporter and partner of Energy Express. Mrs. Stanford and I work really closely together to make that program happen every summer. So it's a 6-week, I call it a reading and feeding program. Kids get 6 weeks of literacy education provided by mentors who are college-age students who we employ throughout the summer, as well as 2 site supervisors who are Wetzel County teachers. And they serve students at Long Drain School, as well as New Martinsville and Payton City. So we have 2 sites. Payton City Elementary served 60 kids this summer, and Long Drain served 20 kids throughout the literacy program, as well as providing a number of meals throughout the summer. And those sites serve as open feeding sites as well for students who are doing summer school, or anybody from the community who wants to come in and use the food. Our mentors, like I said, they are college-age students. They are AmeriCorps members, so this is a partnership with AmeriCorps. We receive quite a bit of funding through AmeriCorps, and those students, they don't have to be education majors to participate, but many of them are. So it's a great job training program for them to learn if they want to continue in education, and some who maybe find that it's not a great fit for them throughout the summer. Down there at the bottom of that page on Energy Express talks about the funding. So Wetzel County Schools provides 30% match to fund this program, and that mainly comes through transportation, the custodian that's at both the schools, meals for our members who eat with the students, and then some training and additional funds. The bulk of the funding, like I said, it's a good partnership between AmeriCorps, WVU, and also locally the Extension Office. We work really well with our community. For both Long Drain and Payton City, the volunteer fire departments come in and give presentations throughout the summer. We have volunteers read with the students. This past summer, our FRN worked with Long Drain and provided scooters and helmets for the kids. They had a great day scootering around the school. But like I said, mostly it is a literacy program. So I want to really highlight that we do test the kids as part of this program to make sure that we are meeting the goals of the program and they are learning something. They have a lot of fun, but our kids who participate in Energy Express either maintain or improve their reading scores throughout the summer. So I can't give you specifics for Wetzel County because they don't drill down that deep, but statewide, 96% of the students who participate in Energy Express either improve or maintain their reading scores. So this is a really worthwhile program. They're not having that summer slide if they participate and if they come with us for the summer. In addition to Energy Express, that's going on for 8 weeks during the summer, we also do a lot of 4-H work. Camp is a big part of my summer. And this year, because of Wetzel County Schools and funding, we were able to hire an intern. And so Emma Richmond, who prepared the internship report that you see there, she's a sophomore at Bethany. She worked with me all summer. It was great to have her support. It was great to have a college student who was a former 4-H'er, kind of see the behind the scenes of what the real work is like. And she was a big help for our first year combining Marshall and Wetzel County into one camp. So traditionally, Wetzel County has had a camp for kids for 1 week throughout the year. This summer we did 2 weeks and included Marshall County kids too. So it was nice to expand not only the children who participated, but also our volunteers. Emma was a big piece of that. She taught 2 classes. And as somebody who did not grow up, with teachers as parents or kind of in the education world, I thought it was really funny to hear her talk about, well, things didn't go as I planned in that class, and I had to figure out how to change it. Yeah, welcome to education. That's what we do all the time. And this year, Emma included, we had 14 kids attend Alpha 1, which is a state 4-H camp, and that's the most Wetzel County has ever sent to a state 4-H camp. I'm really proud of that number. They absolutely loved it. We were able to harness the energy of those teens who went to state camps or the outdoor pod camp, and we formed a teen leader group, which hadn't been in operation in Wetzel for a number of years. Mrs. Wells used to help a lot with that, and hasn't been going for a little while, but now we have this group of kids who are just so enthusiastic about it. We've had a number of meetings throughout the year. It's a great youth group, so I'm very thankful for our intern who is younger and could work with those kids and get them excited and to get them rolling throughout the year. So we're excited to see where that goes. So that's a brief overview of just the good things that Extension is doing. I want to thank you for your support of Extension in Wetzel County, Energy Express, our intern. I'm happy to answer any questions, but otherwise, thanks for letting us continue to do our good work. And I'm looking forward to Energy Express this summer too.
Vice President Casco, I'd just like to say that this relationship has been reciprocal. She talks about she thankful to Wetzel County Schools for the support we've given their program. The support that the 4-H program and the Extension program has given the school system is immeasurable, and the leadership skills that you develop in our students, particularly through the camping and through the team leader program, that sort of thing, we definitely see that in our school system, and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Next item on the agenda is delegations. We have one delegate tonight, Dr. Vince Monceau.
I certainly thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to clear up some misunderstandings from my speech at the last Board of Education meeting, December 12th. My concerns aren't about athletics. I think there was a misunderstanding. It's about the academic courses and the curriculum. I'm not here to harass or to become a problem, but I do have some concerns. The surrounding consolidated school systems to our north, south, east, and west are all offering their students a more diverse academic curriculum. Combining schools in Wetzel County will foster and greatly improve our students' academic course preparation for today's complex world. Many people believe that Wetzel County is a large geographical county, but you might not realize we rank 34th out of 55 counties for square miles in West Virginia. Some people have assumed that West Virginia students are not permitted to ride a school bus more than 1 hour to or from school. That's not a law. Recommendation. Students in some of West Virginia's largest geographical counties do have to ride a school bus over an hour to or from school. Hence, we shouldn't let transportation issues stand in the way of progress. Some school systems have even consolidated before a new building was built or constructed. Oak Glen High School consolidated before their new buildings were completed. Farmington was consolidated into Mannington High School prior to the North Marion High consolidation. Buckeye Local Schools combined 9 schools into 3 high schools using existing buildings, then later consolidated into 1 Buckeye Local. In Pennsylvania, Castle Shannon, Dormont, and Green Tree all consolidated into Keystone Oaks High School using existing buildings before a new building was completed. In West Virginia, the state forced Fayette County to consolidate. Fayetteville, Mount Hope, and part of Valley consolidated, were combined into Oak Hill High School prior to an addition being built at Oak Hill. Let's work to come together in Wetzel County, and all of us, Board of Education, administration, teachers, staff, parents, and communities, and commit to offering all of our students the best education possible. The declining school population and school enrollments, the declining number of certified teachers, and the increasing number of teacher vacancies all urge us to set aside school rivalries as others have done and unite our efforts to move forward. Again, I thank you for the opportunity, and those are definitely my concerns for the students of Wetzel County. Thank you.
Thank you. We always welcome any delegates to come and speak. Mrs. Wells, Superintendent Information.
Yes, I'm excited to share a little bit more about the Pace Setter School at Hundred High School, and also go into us being a district leadership Pace Setter County, which is a national honor. So I'd like to talk a little bit about Hundred High School and their being honored as a Pace Setter School. At Hundred High School, engaging instruction is taking place in all classrooms. Hands-on active learning experiences are encouraged. Evidence of engaging instruction is documented through teacher lesson planning, administrator walkthroughs, and PLC meetings. Data is used to drive decisions pertaining to PBIS, positive behavior intervention support, student mental health needs, as well as academic interventions. For the aligned curriculum, Professional learning communities are used weekly to help in the decision-making process and to increase communication across the school. PLC meeting notes are uploaded to Schoology for all staff to access to reading the meeting minutes. As far as the category of career pathways, personal education plans are developed to help students decide what post-secondary options they may want to pursue following high school. 100 High School offers completer courses in agribusiness, plant systems, broadcasting, coding and game design, robotics and drone flight, baking and pastry, and STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Students are also provided real-world job opportunities through simulated workplace. We have several arrangements at 100 High School for funerals, Valentine's Day bouquets, as well as corsages for homecoming and prom for local schools. The Covered Bridge Bakery provides baked goods ranging from pies to cookies to homemade breads, and these goods are sold to the community. 100 Construction has built an amphitheater in town, a cabin as well as picnic tables for Valley Falls State Park. The Hornet Buzz serves as the school's broadcasting company in which they do videos, commercials, podcasts, as well as maintain the school's social media page for all students, parents, and community members to access. The Green Hive is our school greenhouse, which provides students direct opportunity to learn the process of greenhouse operations and selling vegetables, annuals, and perennial plants as part of the business. 100 High School offers career exploration for students in grades 7 through 8 and Long Drain School. Those students begin their day at 100 High School, where they explore quality career technical education as they rotate through a series of courses that award them hands-on, real-world opportunities such as technology, home economics, floriculture, intro to ag, and algebra 1. For the tiered systems of support, they have the universal, targeted, intensive, and it is all utilized at 100 High School. 100 High School is a Tier 2 school for PBIS. PBIS is used building-wide with the entire staff utilizing and implementing interventions. Hornet Bucks are used to recognize those students following the rules and those going above and beyond. Students are later able to use Hornet Bucks for the Hornet Store and PBIS reward activities. Tutoring is available to students prior to the school day beginning as well as after school hours. 100 High School also strives to have all students involved and engaged in some form of affiliated high school activity. It goes on and on. The wonderful things that we are doing at 100 High School, it is our smallest high school in the county. I think they are very deserving of the Pacesetter Award. They will be honored on a national stage with more than 5,000 people in attendance, people from all over the world. So I do want to, I'm very proud of that honor. We were surprised the other day. Paul and I he was gone and he and I were conversing on our phones and we about fell out. The district is not allowed, as a county, we are not allowed to apply for a district leadership Pacesetter Award. Somebody within this SREB has to apply for that in our name. So I finally got the application that was submitted on behalf of Wetzel County Schools by the Southern Regional Education Board. And Wetzel County Schools has been designated as a National District Leadership Award winner, and we will be at Pacesetter County, and we will be honored at that same conference this summer. I'll just go through this. I'm going to read to you the nomination form from the SREB. On the 2022 West Virginia State Assessment, Wetzel County was one of the only districts to increase achievement in all content areas, with a 6% increase in math scores, a 2% increase in ELA, and a 3% gain in science scores. These improvements were due in part to laser-like commitment to the continuous improvement process at every level, from superintendent to the students in the classroom. Furthermore, Wetzel County's use of SREB Making Schools Work has helped build a shared vision for all members of the learning community. Wetzel County Schools serve students in 4 high schools, 1 technical education center, and 4 intermediate schools. The district has developed a concise, cohesive strategic plan aligned to the West Virginia Department of Education standards for effective schools and the SREB key practices known as the Wetzel Way. In 2021, Wetzel County engaged SREB to co-design the curriculum and instruction review visit to align with their district priorities. The focus of the visit was centered on these 2 specific questions at each of its schools. Number 1, how does the school leader make certain each student is engaged in all classrooms via quality instruction aligned to grade level or above standards? Number 2, how does the school ensure purposeful relationships exist between families, community, and the school in support of student success? The review and summary of findings were used to tailor planned professional learning to address the needs on each campus. First, district leaders analyzed the data of the different schools to identify district-wide patterns. Then teams of teacher leaders and administrators unpacked the reports to identify focus areas for improvement. For example, some schools chose to prioritize connecting careers and academics, while others chose increasing depth of knowledge to be their priority. Subsequently, teacher leaders at each school used the SREB problem-solving model to test solutions based on the data collected during the curriculum instruction review, making the process problem-centered and user-driven. Finally, to build capacity in improving their chosen focus areas, the district sent 40 participants to the 2022 Making Schools Work Conference in Dallas, Texas. Each afternoon, they would meet as a district and process how they could apply what was learned to their individual school's context. The Wetzel County Technical Education Center participates in the state's Tech Centers That Work network and has organized a full staff effort to support growth and promotion goals. They partner with sending high schools to ensure students have access to career pathways and opportunities to earn value-added credentials. The West Virginia Department of Education has implemented Math for Life, a comprehensive system of support to elevate mathematics achievement for all learners in their public school system. As part of this initiative, SREB works with math educators in Wetzel County as they design rigorous and engaging standards-based units of study that address key math concepts and build mathematical habits of mind. This work enriches the content knowledge of teachers to ensure students develop a deep understanding of mathematical concepts. Wetzel County's culture of learning is further exemplified by the district-wide PLCs, organized around 3 cohorts: experienced teachers, beginning teachers, and aspiring administrators. Now we also have the National Board Certified group that is active this year as well. These PLCs dig into systematic issues that impede students and teachers from meeting their fullest potential. Each meeting is led by district staff, including classroom teachers, administrators, and district leaders. The district PLCs have helped build teacher ownership around issues like student engagement, supporting new teachers, and building teacher self-efficacy. Wetzel County started with the SREB's curriculum and instruction review process in 2021 and established school improvement priorities based on the review's finding. Furthermore, Wetzel County continues to implement the SREB powerful instructional practices at all levels and embraces a collaborative partnership with SREB. Through this commitment to implementing all aspects of the Making Schools Work framework, Wetzel County has demonstrated its commitment to being an SREB Pacesetter Award winner. So we want to share that with you, that we will have 2 entities being honored at the SREB conference this summer in Orlando. We're very grateful to Mr. Houston for putting back the money in last year's budget for us to send, we have how many presenters right now from Wetzel County?
17.
17, it'll be 18 because the county has to present as well. Yes. So there'll be 18 different presentations given from Wetzel County school employees at this. So thankfully you've set the money aside, and we'll be bringing those names to you guys for approval at a future meeting. So we're very proud of that, and wanted to share those 2 honors with you. I'd like to really thank the bus drivers at Shortline School on January 5th this year. There was a last minute hiccup, and we had a bus driver that couldn't show up, because of the very quick work of senior bus drivers in the Shortline area, from 3:05 to 3:15, Mrs. Simmons, you can tell me if I'm wrong, they got together, came up with a plan, separated students, and got every kid home safely that day. So by the time dismissal came, it was seamless. Kids were on buses, and I attribute that to the leadership of the bus drivers at Shortline School, and wanted to share that with you guys. Okay. Vice President Castello, I think that's all I have. Unless you'd like for me to read you one of these 3 books I have up here on the science of reading. And I do, you know what, I do have
We'll
something.
save that for the next meeting.
I do have something on the science of reading I'm gonna make everybody listen to. Mr.
You ready to go?
Yeah, I promised you we would talk about science of reading. I have these 3 books, if any of you want them, I've got all 3 of them and I have enough for you. One is Reading in the Brain, The New Science of How We Read. The other is Language at the Speed of Sight, How We Read, Why So Many Can't, and What Can Be Done About It. And Shifting the Balance, 6 Ways to Bring the Science of Reading into the Balanced Literacy Classroom. And we're just going to show a short 4-minute video as part of your professional development to ease us all into the science of reading that the state superintendent and I back 100%. So.
Called together a panel of experts to survey the research and essentially create some recommendations around what it is that learners need instruction in to be able to be skilled and successful readers. This national reading panel surveyed over 100,000 research studies, so it was a really the breadth of the research that was considered was really extensive. And from all of this research, they identified what are now referred to as the five pillars or the 5 big ideas in reading and reading. And these are intended to really serve as the foundation or the backbone for any instruction that we're providing in reading. So I'm going to quickly describe what each of these big ideas are, and then we'll have the opportunity to talk about them in a bit more depth here. So the first big idea is that learners need to develop skills in something called phonemic awareness. And phonemic awareness is all about the ability to hear and manipulate the sounds in oral language. Because written language really is a way to capture oral language or spoken language in written form. And so in the English alphabetic system, where letters are meant to represent sounds, and the words that we write on the paper represent orally spoken words, readers need to understand that sound structure of oral language to be able to be successful with word reading tasks. The second big idea they identified is what we refer to as the alphabetic principle, and the instruction in the alphabetic principle is called phonics. And this is really all about being able to map the sounds that we're producing to the visual representation or the letters on the page. So it's instruction that letters represent sounds, and we put those letter sounds together to create words. The next big idea is called fluency, and fluency is about developing automaticity, right? So it's critical that our learners understand this sound structure and the correspondence between the sounds and the written representation in language. But students have to eventually be able to do this with enough automaticity that they don't have to think about it as they're doing it, right? If we think about ourselves as skillful adult learners, if we were to sound out every word on every page that we ever encounter, that would make it really difficult for us to really attend to what it's about, what the meaning of that passage is. And so learners that have extensive opportunities to practice their phonics and phonemic awareness skills are going to get to a point of automaticity where they don't have to think about what their brains are doing anymore, and that's fluency. And then finally, we have vocabulary and comprehension. Vocabulary is all about the language that students are going to encounter in reading and in academic tasks. And comprehension, I always think it's kind of funny that it's one of the pillars because it really is what it's all about, right? It is the outcome of skilled reading, that our reader is able to construct meaning from the passage or from the text that they're reading. Across all these 5 big ideas, the National Reading Panel emphasized the importance of explicit and systematic instruction. So that means that we need to clearly present these skills to our learners, and we have to do it in a way that's really intentional and builds upon itself. So if we think about phonics, for example, teaching our learners that letters represent sounds and we put those sounds together to create words, explicit systematic instruction means that we're teaching these rules overtly to our learners. We're not asking our kids to try to figure it out from multiple exposures to words that may have that sound in it. We're telling students what that relationship is. We're providing lots of opportunities to practice, and then we're building on that prior knowledge with the new skills that we're teaching.
Okay, a short introduction to the science of reading and to the 5 pillars of literacy. As you can see, I said earlier in another board meeting, I said, teaching is brain surgery. It is not easy. And as you can tell from just these snippets that we're sharing with you, in fact, one of these books that we're going to be reading as professionals in the county is the Washington Post Best Science Book of the Year. So, you know, educators are doing the deep, heavy work that needs to be done. And we're up for the challenge, and we're excited to learn more about the science of reading and to increase literacy scores in our county. And I think now, I can give it back to you, Mr. Counselor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 6, superintendent's recommendations. Item A is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on December the 12th, 2022. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Nice moves and Mr. Glasscock second that the minutes from the 22nd or the 12th of December meeting be approved. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any opposition? Can I acknowledge if one of the people that's being hired is here tonight?
Oh, you need to. Yes, I think that'd be wonderful.
Okay, I'm making sure.
Yes.
Under B, under personnel matters, we have retirements. And you will note that we have a couple people in here that have long years of service to Wetzel County schools that are on this, which we'll cover later on. We have resignations, professional personnel, service personnel, extracurricular. We have a rescindment from the November 14th board meeting, and we have 3 leaves of absence that are requested. Any discussion of any of those?
I'd like to remove the assistant super principal at Magnolia High School. Just in executive session, please.
Didn't require a second, right? A second to that.
Second, we need to discuss it.
Okay. So we vote on the whole, make sure I'm doing this right. We vote on everything else, and that is set aside for executive session, right?
Okay, you have a motion and a second, so you have to.
Yeah, but I'm just making sure we're doing this according to Hoyle. We have a motion and a second to separate out the assistant principal position at Magnolia High School from the remainder of the items under item B. All those in favor of, we already did that, right? All those in favor of setting that one aside signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Now what do we do?
Oh, I thought we had to discuss it. We don't have to.
You don't have to. You just
You
it's a
made
motion.
You made a
don't have-
motion, you made the second.
You made the second, but.
Oh,
To
okay,
go.
so we don't have, well, he wants, well, okay.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded with a tie vote of have an executive session. We still have to have one, right?
It's not, there's not a majority vote.
So that,
Motion dies.
Motion dies, because you don't have, you don't have a third person.
thank you, Mrs. Bonner, that's why you're president. The minutes will reflect that that did not happen. We have a motion for the approval of the employment, leaves of absence, resignations, retirements. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 No.
You didn't have a motion first, a motion and a second first.
we need a motion for approval of this.
So I make a motion to approve everything under B with personnel matters as far as what is listed for retirement, resignations, professional personnel, service personnel, extracurricular, rescindment, and the leave of absences.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we go through the list.
Now.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
No.
3 to 1, is that correct? Okay. Now I can point.
Yes, you can. You certainly can.
I'd like to point out that, and excuse me if I mispronounce your name, that the new assistant principal at Magnolia High School, Mr. Demarest.
Robert Demarest, yes.
I was gonna wait for you to say it, but I just echo what you said. Welcome to Webster County Schools.
I appreciate it. I'm honored and excited to get started. I'll be ready tomorrow morning.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you. Okay, under item C, ratification of superintendent's recommendation. Consideration and possible action on the superintendent's recommendation that the following be ratified by the board. An extracurricular employee's unpaid suspension and termination of contract. Does that have to go to executive session?
I move that we go to executive session for discussion of personnel matters.
Second.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that we go into executive session for the consideration of personnel matters. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're gonna stay in
Yes,
here?
same here.
Okay. board will now return to regular session at, whether you can read the clock. Okay, you got the time. We have a motion in regard to the ratification of the superintendent's recommendation.
First, Vice President Castello, I recommend that the extracurricular contract for assistant junior high wrestling coach of Mr. Daniel Goddard be terminated and that his unpaid suspension be approved.
And you made the motion. Mrs. Knight made the motion.
I'll second that.
Mr. Glasscock seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Can't be any opposed. Okay, routine matters, the request for an out-of-state trip, chaperones and volunteers at Payton City High, Payton City Elementary, request to use school facilities, and lease agreement with the Payton City Development Authority for the use of the Payton City Health and Recreation Building Gymnasium, $20 an hour for a maximum of 200 hours.
So moved.
Second, is that the same amount? The amount remains the same? Been moved and seconded that we approve the lease agreement, the use of school facilities, the chaperones and volunteers, and the out-of-state trip. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Can't be. Motion passes. Treasurer's report, Mr. Lancaster.
I do have a couple budget supplements and transfers for you to approve. Also, item A, I'm asking for approval for payment of the bills for the month of December, which you have in your packet. Item B, I'm asking for approval for transfers and increases in the budget. Quickly, I'll go over, it's actually a decrease in the budget of $30,830.32. I'll explain that briefly as I go through this. There's a small $500 grant for the 100 High School Culinary Challenge, which we saw tonight. That's to help with the supplies and reimburse them for some of the supplies that they purchased through the state. The next is an increase from the spring projection of Title II of just $436 and some change. The main reason for the decrease is Title I. There's an amount we have already budgeted for Title I based on what they projected we would be receiving this year. We finally got the grant award and it was $32,223.52 less than what they had projected, so we have to adjust our budget accordingly.
Which is not an unusual occurrence, right?
It normally goes up a little bit, but it always, it usually
It's fluid.
differs a little bit. Yes, yeah, that's just, and just so you know, that amount of money, Title,
compared to the whole Title I.
right, Title I is $806,000 grant, so this is a little bit of money. We'll miss the $32,000, but it's an $806,000 grant. And then finally, a small $457 grant through the state for English as a second language that we use for some of the travel costs in our county for that teacher. That's all that I'm asking for this evening.
So a motion in regard to the treasurer's report.
I move that we approve paying the bills for the month of December 2022 and for any increases in the budget transfers.
I second.
Moved and seconded to approve the treasurer's report and transfers and increases and the payment of bills. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next part is the second readings of new and revised and deleted Wetzel County policies as they were presented prior. This is the second reading for all of those. Have a motion in regard to those. I move that we approve the new revised and deleted policies as presented.
I second that.
been moved and seconded to approve the policies revised, deleted, and new. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Can't be. Okay. Next is discussion action in regard to hiring an additional one half-time countywide gifted teacher. And Mr. Cook or Mr.
Given the, I think it's Mr. Kimball, but given
No,
the
that's what I was
amount,
gonna say, either Mr. Cook or Mr. Kimball or both, or a combination thereof.
given the amount of students that are needing, a gifted teacher, probably, Mr. Kimball came to the board, he probably could have just came to me and said, hey, given the amount of kids that I have, I need somebody for that because of the special ed need.
That's a federal law.
Yeah, we've got to actually do this, he just, coming to you guys.
Our numbers have doubled since the beginning of the school year.
Given-
Like I said
given-
the last time, that's a great thing, that our gifted students has doubled, so that's.
Gifted is a special need as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's covered through an IEP, federal law.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically what we're saying is, this is a great thing, we're going to be going to a full-time instead of a half-time gifted teacher. So I have to post for another half-time. I'm not guaranteeing that the half-time teacher that we have is going to get that position. She may not want that position, as a full-time, and might end up being, somebody else.
We may have, I mean, it could be two separate halftime people.
Yeah, so I don't know how that's gonna play out.
Do you have a question, Mrs. Bonner?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Our gifted students in the high school are reached through AP courses, college courses, etc. But our elementary students need to be pushed too. Sometimes people say that the gifted students can make it on their own, we don't need that. But if you compare it to a sports team, and those that aren't as good and maybe aren't as coordinated, to give them a lot of extra help and coaching and have full-time coaches would be wonderful, but you would never say, okay, but varsity's good enough, we only have to give them a half-time coach. It's the same thing with education. Yes, these students are smart and they can make it somewhat on their own, but that doesn't mean they're being reached as far as they can go. And even though I don't like adding positions, you know that I've spoken about it before, I just strongly believe our students deserve this. As Mrs. Wells said, it's the law. And if you want to look at test scores, you get those students working and going hard, we're going to pull up the average scores. That's all.
So we'll be posting that, in the next few weeks, next couple of weeks. There's really no
Do we
action.
need to make, we don't need to make a motion or anything?
No, we just wanna let you know that that's going to happen.
Okay.
Because it's a special ed need.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Board member committee reports.
As far as the extension office, we got that this evening.
She did a good job doing
She
that.
did great. I just wanted to say, kind of a proud mom moment. One of the team leaders is my daughter, and it was a new program, and she got to not only go to her regular age camp, but then she was a team leader the following week with the younger kids. Like day 2, she was like ready to pull her hair out, and I'm like, you say, but they're coming a long way, really pushing these kids, and as I think maybe you were saying, it does reflect a lot, not just at 4-H events.
That's right.
It helps her at school, sports, being a mom whenever I'm not there, to her younger sisters. It really gives her a different look on things. So it's been all around a great program. So from the Energy Express for like the younger ones, clear up to leadership and going to, like she went to Jackson's Mills, meeting kids from all over the state. I mean, she's having a very good time with it, and I think it's a great opportunity for the kids with this.
Lifelong learning.
They do a good job overall. I mean, and if you go in and ask a question, they answer the question. If they don't know the answer, they find out the answer to the question. Number 11, other items, policy 2322, support and accountability.
I think I've talked enough personally. You agree? I can tell.
No, if you've got more to say, that's fine.
Okay.
But that group over there is all ready to go.
They're ready to go. Let's start with Mr. Doty. Go ahead.
Nothing really important. The electric changeover for Payton City's job got pushed back. The switchgear was supposed to be shipped on the 5th, and the company said, well, now it's not gonna come till July. So we switched to another manufacturer, which is supposed to have it ready by the first or second week in February. So we actually pushed the date back to where it's gonna be on February 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. So technically, the kids are only gonna be out of school on a half a day of faculty senate. And then the 20th is a Monday, which is an OS day. So they're gonna try to do the changeover on that whole weekend right there. So we're really not gonna lose any instructional time out of it. So hopefully everything falls into place on that one. Other than that, we're all good.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Stanford?
We have Math Field Day coming up next month. We have Young Writers going on right now. Science Fair is coming up on the 21st. And we have parent-teacher conferences next week.
Yes.
Which is a blessing.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Mr. Houston?
Stole some of my thunder. I'm just gonna say, semester tests start Friday. They'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, next week, the following week. Also just wanna say, I'll be coming to the board, next board meeting with a list of people that we wanna send to the SREB. Don't be scared by the numbers, the money's there, it's been allocated. And honestly, it's some of the best training that we go to. And you saw some prime examples. We use it. And just a little side note, when Mrs. Wells and I were having a conversation, when she let me know when I was in Florida last week, that our district is going to receive that Pay Center Award. I had a little tear in my eye, and I was jumping up and down. I think my wife just thought I was nuts, because she thinks I'm nuts anyway. But it's a big deal. It really is a big deal.
It is. It's exciting.
There's not very many that get that.
No.
There's just a handful.
I mean, there's gonna be 5,000 to 6,000 people there.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's a big deal. And honestly, Mrs. Wells and Mr. Kimball and I were talking today. I would really be interested if one of our board members would go to.
Definitely. We would welcome any board member that
Or
wants to go to this.
multiple
conference
board
with us.
members.
Right.
We have the money.
So that's definitely an option.
It's in Orlando this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nebraska.
Nebraska. I don't know if they've ever had it any place other than that, well, because it's Southern Regional Education Board, they've had it.
And each school gets an opportunity to send teachers. It's not just the 17%ers. I sent out emails today to all our schools that possibly they could have up to 4 people per school. Now, if schools have presenters, they're not getting that addition, 4 additional. Okay, like 100 actually had 6 people that are presenters. They're getting all 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and we may have a few people, like kisses, and like Ms. Holly is a presenter as well. She's going to be working with.
That'll be a repeat from last year.
She's working with Long Range School kindergarten teacher. It's going to be presenting. So it's not all just CPE. It's actually elementary, high school. There's counseling.
It's a lot of special ed too.
Special education, social emotional learning. I mean, it is really, really good professional development.
Well, and as far as we've seen, and we'll probably see more, some of the people that have gone to the conferences in the past have come and presented or presented at their own school, and it's not like somebody's taking a vacation, because they've brought, obviously they've brought back stuff to 100 that they put into practice, and I'm sure that they have at other schools also.
They do.
Wetzel County does something a little different. We require our people, since it is, it's an expensive trip, and we take so many people, we require them to meet after the sessions daily so they can report out on what they've learned, and we have a professional learning community with the people that are there every day. So the workday continues and extends beyond the conference time, because we've decided it is just that important to us to meet back with our people and discuss it and make sure that we're all on the same page with it. So. Okay, Mrs. McPherson. Sure. I'm going to piggyback on WVU Extension and just say that we do have a fantastic partnership with them, and it has been and it continues to be a pleasure to work with Molly on all of this. Wetzel County Schools Child Nutrition Program actually partners with them to provide those meals that she was talking about. So it's not only feeding the Energy Express students, which that format of meal has changed over the years with their requirements, but also to leave those as open sites. So any child, and it doesn't have to be Wetzel County Schools student, any child for the summer food program can stop in and get a free meal, breakfast or lunch, at those locations. It has just been wonderful to work with them on that. Child Nutrition World, we are currently are out for RFP through the Mountaineer Highlands Cooperative, which we are a member of. It is, I believe it's now up to 22 counties in West Virginia. We're out for RFP for our food. I will be bringing that to you probably in the next couple of months once we have a chance as a cooperative to meet and discuss and award that. It is quite the task to put all of that information together, but it is rewarding in the end. Also, I am continuing and going to be finishing up here in the next month and a half, the on-site lunch and breakfast reviews. There's that. Thank you.
What, RSP?
RFP.
What's that? Oh, request for proposals,
Yes.
okay. I thought we were,
Sorry.
I thought the
No,
federal
acronym.
government had come up with some new
No,
acronym, and
no.
I thought, heck, we're just really gonna learn something.
I'll be more than happy to share it with you so you can see exactly what the federal government requires.
Too much. Just like the next man is gonna tell you, too much requirements.
Yes.
Can we eat some of this?
The only,
Non-approved.
it's very good though.
It's delicious.
The other thing I was going to mention is on January 20th, we're going to have a Wyatt 4, which is a training session for our new special ed teachers. We've got a lot of new folks in there. That way it kind of helps our school psychologists to get some of the testing done and kind of gives them a little bit more background when it comes to getting reevaluation, so on and so forth, taken care of. So we'll have a 4-hour training for them given by the 2 school psychologists that morning.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McPherson.
I have a brief 2-hour presentation. No, I honestly, unless anybody has a question, which I'll be glad to answer, I don't have anything right now.
Okay, Mr. Vargas.
A few items. First thing I want to go over is to publicly thank the EQT Corporation. At the end of November, I spoke with the president of the EQT Corporation up in Pittsburgh, and she sent us a very generous donation to be used for needy children in the county. We sent that donation to the Shop with a Cop program, so I want to publicly thank them. Second thing I want to go real quick is I spoke with a lady from a company who specializes in drug education resources last week, and Mr. McPherson today on our county website uploaded a parent's guide to fentanyl. So that is found on the main page of our county website. Scroll down toward the bottom where it says related links, and it's the first article under that section, so we encourage all parents to check that out. And the final thing I wanted to go over, at the beginning of the school year, I attended a conference in Charleston. It was discussed with us that the state, not the State Department, but the governor's office was going to create 6 SSOs. We have SROs, our school resource officers. SSOs are school security officers. I had the privilege of meeting our representative last week. He's a former state police officer, so he's a retired trooper. He's been assigned 13 counties. He has over 130 schools. There's 6 across the state. They're hoping that they'll get to 12 eventually. But their main objectives are to offer assistance, to complete threat assessments of the schools, and to be visible as much as they can be. He was impressed with all the different safety updates that we have put in our county schools in the past 20 years and the protocols and procedures we're following, but just wanted to update you all on that because that's been reported in the media, so in case you didn't know what that was when you read that, that's what it is. So they're called SSOs, School Security Officers, and that's all I have.
And he began rounds already. He was at my school today. Good. Excellent. Okay, thank you, Mr. Barkus. Mr. Lancaster, anything else?
Nothing I need to share with the board this time.
Okay, Mr. Cook.
Just have a couple of things to keep the board in the know. Working on kind of prepping the LZ for calendar for 23-24 school year, to get ready to meet with my calendar committee, here in the next few weeks. And then also talking to principals in the next month about, what it's gonna look like for 23-24 as far as, what's this RIF season gonna entail? I've got at least 4 or 5 right now that are non-certified substitutes in positions that are, since they're substitutes, they're not going to be part of that, but those will be positions that will be cut. Kind of straight up, that's what's got to happen. These people need to realize too that praxis, and we keep pushing that from the personnel side, they need to be taking these praxises in order to be certified, to be, take themselves away from being non-certified. How do you get certified? They have to take praxis. Some of them have tried taking the praxis and not passed, and they need to retake the praxis. So they're in that boat, and some of them have not taken the praxis yet. Some of them have just gotten hired, and that's why you see people being hired as non-certified teachers or non-certified substitute teachers instead of getting those positions. They haven't passed their science praxis yet or something like that. The other thing is that I have been trying for months now to get a secretary for these two. And, we had one for a while, another secretary position opened up, she left, took that position, she's happier than a fat cat down there, wildcat. And she's not coming back. So I've tried and tried and tried. This half-time thing is not going to work. The only way that I see it working is you have a finance half, special ed half, and a half at the tech center. That's the only way that I'm going to be able to pull this off. You got a full-time 261 there and a 220 at the tech center. That's the only way. So that's something you guys might need to discuss at some point in time, but I'm continuing to try to find somebody that can pass the accounting test. It's a very difficult test. I've got a few that have passed the secretary's portion. Accounting is where we're having the drop dead. The adult ed group up in Stilton is, they are on board with helping to train our people that are taking tests. I got custodial tests coming up on the 18th. I've sent out numerous letters to people, and they have to call back and set up a time to take their test. I have like 3 time slots to set up, starting at 9. It's an hour test on the computer, and then it's a practical app time. But they have to call in, talking about custodian right now. I know I jumped ship there and went somewhere else, but that's the way this works, and that's the way my mind works. But in regards to that, I've sent out numerous letters. I've got like 1 phone call back, and that's where we are in this boat, trying to get custodians, and that's the same problem I'm having with secretaries and accounting. So it's hard. It's hard right now, and we're trying, and we're sending out the letters. I don't think one more billboard up on Route 2 is going to solve my problem. However, I can do that.
And I said I wasn't gonna talk, but you opened the door for me.
I know.
We're
I was
struggling
opening it up.
upstairs.
I opened it up for both of you.
And I have a very good financial staff, that's who I have upstairs, but there's a reason we hired Penny Baker as a half-time person. Well, I did, she was excellent, but she took another job, and we have been going without since, when did she leave? Point is, we've got to do something because it's been too long, and I've got people upstairs, I got bills that need paid that aren't getting paid on time. I'm getting more and more calls, and I've told my people that we've just got to prioritize, and it's not a good way to do financial business. When we prioritize, that means there are a lot of people that don't meet that priority level that aren't getting paid right now. We've got the money, we just don't have the staff to do it, so we've got to do something, and the problem is people aren't passing the accounting test. Or the people that don't want that job aren't taking the accounting test. I think if it was combined with the special ed department, I think there were people that'd be interested in a 261 day position in this building who could pass that accounting test. I'm not sure of that, but I'm pretty sure of that. We've had people before. But right now, it's just not working and we're struggling.
And they need somebody in special ed.
I think a few years ago, there was an extra half-time secretary, that, I don't know the reasons that it was
Probably money.
disbanded, but, I mean, with the number of special ed students that we service, put that in with the special ed teachers, I mean, the paperwork that we get is just as much as what, you know, Mr. Lancaster deals with, and it's hard for, it's not something that we can't do, because we have been doing it, it's just like he said, some things are getting put aside, so we can do the most important things first, and then try to get to the rest of it.
And at the same time, we have the tech center now, which is a school. We have students there all day long. We have students enrolled half-time, morning or afternoon at the tech center. There are tasks specifically assigned to that position. We've attempted to fill it in with substitutes. It's very difficult to have that rotating in and out to make sure that all of these things are completed. There's financial things there that also need completed. Now, how do we do it? We do it like we've done everything else here. You get it done somehow, but it is not sustainable. We need help.
Yeah, so you guys wanted to report back. I think that was your last words. Let us know how this works. It didn't work. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
We would be remiss if I didn't mention it's good to see Mr. Kendall back in the audience.
Good to have you back.
Thank you. After too long an absence, and you'll probably second that. You'll say, I was away just a little bit. You back to work? Yes?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You're back to work?
I went back to work on the 4th because Shauna had surgery on the 3rd, which was supposed to be today.
And we're happy to have you back, and Payton City Elementary's happy to have you back.
Thanks.
Definitely.
Say it louder now. Date and time of the next meeting is January the 23rd, 2023.
Mr. Castro,
Yes, ma'am.
under other items, before we close out the meeting, sorry to interrupt you, I'm asking all board members at the next meeting to make sure you come with a calendar and dates you have open, because in February, we have to start the superintendent search process. We have to have Mrs. Wells's evaluation done, and we also have to talk about the upcoming winter conference for West Virginia School Board Association that's in February. So if everybody would bring their schedules with them to the next meeting, please.
Okay, thank you for reminding us. I move for adjournment.
I will second.
Been moved and second for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?